So we are here today to discuss the America's AI Youth Festival that Dave AI USA is running. This is a new initiative that we just started very recently that's going to run through this school year. And we're going to specifically focus on the festival events that we're going to be hosting next summer at MIT or near Boston, Cambridge area. If you want the slide deck, you can go to tinyurl.com/youth festival info in order to follow along and look through the slide deck as I go through it as well. So today's goal is to go through a couple of the events. So there are five events total that I'm going to be showing you, but we're going to go through in a little bit more detail on just two of them. So I'm going to show you where the materials are, where you can go to find more information, and then if you want to bring this to your students, or if you are a student, how you can go about signing up and participating in one of these events. We're going to talk about implementation, where maybe you could bring this to your students, how you can find time and figure out where this material fits with your students, and also some timelines. So I'll be showing you all of that over the next 30 or so minutes. So Dave AI and MIT Raise have partnered in order to create this initiative, this Responsible AI for America's Youth initiative. And we are really celebrating, specifically in the United States, student creativity, leadership, and innovation on artificial intelligence. Let me just see if there's a question there. You can only be logged into one meeting at a time, I believe. That's the reason that you might not be able to log into both simultaneously. But we will put this recording up on the website in the festival page by tomorrow afternoon. It should be up there. Okay, so all of this Responsible AI for America's Youth initiative is going to culminate. It's going to finish with some events that are happening at MIT or in Boston at the end of towards the end of next summer. Just a little bit about us. We are part of Day of AI. So this initiative was started at Day of AI, and we basically are trying to focus just specifically on the United States and United States students. And target them for learning about AI literacy in a way that's a little bit easier and more approachable for teachers to implement. Because if you look at our current website, dayofai.org, we have a lot of units, a lot of resources, a lot of materials that teachers can use, and it can be a little bit overwhelming. So we created Day of AI USA to be an easier, almost like an easier runway for teachers to be able to bring some of these lessons and then have students create something for this festival that we are going to be offering. So we have free lessons, free materials at dayofaiusa.org, and we provide free workshops each and every month. Although December is a little bit lighter just because it is December. As I also mentioned, there are 5 events. So we have the Student Senate on AI Policy, AI for a Better World, Me, Myself in AI, AI Live, and Careers in AI. And today we're just going to focus on 2 of these events, Me, Myself in AI, and AI Live. So I'm going to go through the resources for that and the materials for that. And I'm going to be sharing a little bit more about those 2 specifically. But if you're interested in the other ones, you can go to our festival page and take a look at those details and resources and materials, because every single one of them is a little bit different. They have different timelines, they have different requirements, and we're kind of staggering when the submission period closes and so on. Students can apply by themselves, but they do require a teacher sponsor in order to participate in the festival. And we have a frequently asked questions section on our page. And there is one thing I do want to mention, which is really important because we want all of our students to participate in this, pretty much from grades 3 through 12, but it's really only the high school students in grades 9 through 12, that are going to have the opportunity to actually potentially win one of these trips over to Boston, Cambridge and Boston to MIT to participate in their events if they do get selected as winners. So only high school students really have the opportunity to be brought to MIT, but we do want all students to participate in this festival. So as I mentioned, we are going to focus just on 2 events, specifically Me, Myself, and AI and AI Live. And there are QR codes on the screen right now that you can you could take a picture of and go directly to the event page. Or I'm going to show you all that if you go to dayofaiusa.org and you click on festival, you can access the events right from here as well. So you could scan the QR code, or you can go directly to the page, our festival page, scroll down just a little bit, and then you can click on the card to go into the event details. Okay, and inside of each page, we have the timelines, we have strategies. Actually, I'll show you one. Let's jump into one of these right now. So for me, myself, and AI, we have the timeline, we have a little overview, we have the program resources. And in a few minutes, I'm going to give you all an opportunity to go through each of these, to open them up, download them into your account, and then feel free to take a look at those. The submissions for me, myself, and I also will be here. So in a couple of months, we are going to open submissions for each one of these festival events, and you'll be able to do that directly through this site, and your students can do that through this site as well. All right. If you have any questions, feel free to just post them in the chat, and I will take a look and I'll answer them. Otherwise, I'm just going to keep moving forward here, which is to focus on the first event, me, myself, and AI. So for this event, we want students to create two pieces of art. And really what matters here is that they're going to be envisioning their community now and envisioning how it could look in the future, 50 years in the future. And the idea here is that they're going to be utilizing AI almost like as a thought partner or as a tool in order to create the art that they're going to submit. So at least one of the pieces of visual art that they create should incorporate the use of an AI tool. And there is some documentation of the process that students have to capture, and an artist statement. So it's not just submitting two pieces of art and hoping that they win because it's good. It's really about the process. And what we really care about when the students are scored and judged is the process that they undertake in participating in this festival event. So what I mean by that is we really want students to learn the lessons, maybe get experience from the lessons, the AI literacy lessons that we have there. We want students to understand how AI works, how to use it responsibly and ethically. And then when they're done with those lessons, when they're done getting some of that AI literacy, then they apply what they've learned into this project. They can channel their energies, channel their knowledge into this specific festival challenge if your students are artistic in this manner. So just as an example, these are AI generated images, but we really want them to express how they view their community through their own lens. So in that documentation, the process documentation and the materials that students are going to be filling out, and their artist statement with their submission, they're really going to be explaining their thought process and what it is about their community that they like right now, what it is that they envision that maybe AI or the future could hold. I believe in the materials, it'll say that they have to think about the year 2076, which is 50 years away. It's a very long time away for all of us, but maybe they could start thinking about how technology and how AI might play a small part or maybe a large part in changing their communities. And we want them to be the ones that are leading this in their communities as well. So they're going to be explaining their reasoning. They're going to be discussing what it is that they're thinking about and submitting all of that documentation, all of that process as part of their submission, which also does include the visual art components. But that's only a small part. Where we really do care about is the process of learning about AI and then applying it to a real world scenario. So in this picture, this might be an example of like something that students might do. They might take a picture, or they might draw a picture of their community now, and then utilizing AI tools, transform it, and maybe think about how their community might change over the next 50 years. So as an example here, we could ask, or what we'll be asking ourselves is, how is the student interpreting the growth of their community? So they might be thinking about culture, they might be, whatever it is that they're thinking about, we want to see that expressed through the art and in the documentation that they're going to submit with their projects. Okay, we have one more person joining. Okay. Okay, I've kind of mentioned and touched on a lot of these components, that there is an artist statement. So students are going to be explaining and like really documenting their thought process, their learnings from the lessons, and what they want to submit. And also any documentation. So any research that they do, their goals, their the process of actually generating and creating this art,
Sorry.
their choices that they take, everything like that is going to be that we want them to submit that. Uh,
Can I ask a
Nora,
question?
did you want to jump in? Yeah.
There's a question in the chat, and I was also wondering, when you say that they will use AI for the project, do they use an AI tool to generate a visual, or like what does that mean?
So actually, I think we have like a lot of flexibility here. I think we do. The idea is that they would use an AI tool, and we actually have like a list of tools that they might end up using in the materials. If you go through that, there are like examples of tools that they can use to generate the art, but we also do want them to create, something themselves, maybe to contrast what it is that they're thinking there. So they can use AI for feedback. They can use it for inspiration. They can use it for research and document all of that. So the way that they utilize AI is going to be documented and submitted in their submission, basically. So I hope that answers your question there. But also, I'm going to give you all a few minutes in a minute to take a look at the materials, to take a look at the stuff, all of the resources that we provide, because there might be some answers to some of these questions as well in there. Also, one of the big things with the usage of AI is that this is not just the students like becoming like experts at prompting the AI to generate like an image that they're thinking of. We want them to see AI as like to use AI almost as like a co-pilot and like a thought partner, and as a tool that helps them, that helps them in the process of creating something of value or something that they're trying to create. So it's really not just like, oh, the students are becoming experts at prompting. They're really becoming experts at understanding the process of using AI to get to a specific goal, and knowing that that's not something that happens in an instant. That could take a little while, and the students will learn about how that actually works and get there by the end. And that's what they're going to be submitting. That entire process is what they're going to be submitting. Okay, we do have some tips here for students that you could share with them, and I'm not just gonna read through every single bullet point here, but I do want you to take a few moments in a couple minutes. I'm gonna give you like about 5 minutes to take a look at the materials, and maybe come back to this slide and take a look at some of these details. But they're just helpful tips to help you with your discussion and when you're actually sharing this with your students. We have our timeline. So we released the materials a few weeks ago, and the portal is going to open on February 3rd. So that is just under 2 months from today. We are going to open the submission portal. And as you can see, there aren't that many people right now that are aware of this. So you and your students have a really good chance, I think, as of right now, with submitting a project and working on this. And this is also something that's not going to take it'll take a few weeks to get students, knowledgeable about this and give them time to actually create and participate in this festival event. So it's something that you want to definitely get ahead of like as soon as possible, so that you can figure out how much time to spend on it and how much time students will need in order to create their projects. Submissions are due at the end of February, and we'll notify winners by April 24th. And like I mentioned before, for high school students, if they do get selected, they would win an all expenses paid trip to MIT and or near MIT, depending on the event, or it might be the MIT Museum. It depends on where we're going to hold the event, but we're going to do that in July. Okay, so at this time, I want to give you all about, I know it says 5 minutes. I'll give you 3 minutes to jump in there and download some of these resources. So if you go to the festival page directly, you'll be able to open up the educator guide, the student resources, and the slide deck, and start taking a look at what we have in there. So we have student handouts, we have the student slide deck, a whole bunch more information that I do want you to spend a little time looking through, because if I just tell you everything, it's going to be overwhelming at this point. But if you open it, you'll have it there. You could start going through it and start figuring out a plan for bringing this to your students. All right, so let's take 3 minutes to do that, and we will continue with the second event in about 3 minutes. Okay, as you're finishing up or as you're looking through the materials, if you see any places where you think you could implement this with your students, feel free to let us know in the chat. Maybe share out some ideas so others can get ideas of like where they could do this. So just as an example, someone might do this as an after school with their after school club or with their after school students. Others might do it during CS Ed Week. They might begin this during CS Ed Week. But if you have any concrete ideas or plans in which where you see this could fit, please let us know in the chat. That way everyone can benefit from that. Just we're going to go on to the second event that I wanted to give you like a very brief overview about, and that is going to be AI Live. So AI Live, for AI Live, students are going to be creating an original performance piece. So this is really about a live performance, and the winners that are going to get selected are going to perform this at the Lindy Center over in Cambridge. So it could be a dance, it could be some sort of dramatic reading, it could be the reading of a poem, it could be a song, anything artistic, any kind of performance piece, and it could also be a team-based piece as well. So the students can work in a group and create some sort of performance piece to submit. Just like the last, festival event, students are going to be doing some documentation of their process and creating an artist statement in which to submit, because that is what's going to be looked at in the judging process. So because this is art, it's very difficult to judge. So we're going to get some experts in AI, some experts in education, and we're going to all take a look at the entire submissions, not just the projects, not just the video, not just the picture, but we're going to look at the entire process to understand the AI literacy components that students learned and how they're applying those to their projects or their submissions. So that really is the key there. That we want students to be able to demonstrate what they've learned about AI from their teacher in their schools, and then be able to apply those learnings in an actual project. There's a question in the chat. Should the student perform it or submit an AI generated piece of dance or drama? For this one, we really actually do want students to perform the piece. So they can use AI as part of the process of developing some sort of creative performance. But we want the students to be able to actually perform it themselves in front of an audience. So I believe the Lindy Center has capacity for about 300 people. So on one of the nights, the students each will get an opportunity, or the teams will each get an opportunity to perform their piece, their performance piece, if it is selected as one of the winners. Okay, so AI Live is very open-ended. So it's not just a dance, it's not just like a skit or a poem or the reading of a poem or some sort of like demonstration. It really is open to anything that can be considered like a live performance and art. So we do have as long as it's original, we do have like examples of something that could be like a performance piece. So in this video here, I'm not going to play it just because I think, yeah, I'm not going to play it just because like the music. I don't know if it'll trigger any of the copyright strikes or anything like that when we upload the video. But you can look at it on your own time as well, where these girls are dancing to this song by Daft Punk called Technologic. And so the students are going to be trying to express their relationship to and with technology. So we want them to express their opinions and do that in a very artistic, creative way. And that is going to be what is going to be judged as well. Okay, in this one I can play a short clip of because it's a student reciting a poem that they wrote. Um, so the prompt here was of technology and creating an original piece of art. And so this student, I'll just play about 30 seconds of this, just so you could see this. This is an example of something that, one of the students could submit, like an example of that. But we don't really want to like force anything on. It doesn't have to be a dance. It doesn't have to be a poem recital. It's it could be anything, any artistic piece. So I'm just going to play 30 seconds of this so you can kind of get a sense of something that your students might be interested in doing. And you might have students in mind that could do something like this.
We live in a generation where work takes a backseat to Facebook statuses. Our backs are facing reality while our faces face a fantasy that equates popularity to the number of Twitter followers we have. Long as we have technology, we can keep in contact without ever making eye contact. This way we say everything without saying anything to someone's face. See, I believe it all started when the internet decided to invade my space, making it difficult for me to just sit in Facebook's headphones plugged in on full blast, and now I can't hear birds tweet. Face glued down to a screen that lets me live out my fantasies.
So that's just 30 seconds, but the student is clearly communicating their artistic expression about their relationship with technology and how it's maybe like infiltrating like or a very pervasive part of their lives. So we want to see how students are thinking about AI in the same way, and possibly, that could be one direction that they end up going in. Okay, and again, just like in the other festival event, we want students to submit an artistic statement. And in the student resources, when you go to the website, let me go over to AI Live. In the student resources, I'll just open it so you could all see exactly what I'm talking about here. When you make a copy, you'll see that this has the instructions. This has a very guided process for students to be able to prepare what it is that they're going to submit. So I do want to reiterate that this would come after doing some of the AI literacy lessons that we do provide. This isn't something that we really want students to just do as like a challenge without any prior exposure or knowledge to AI literacy or AI concepts. We want this to come at the end in order to be able to demonstrate what they've learned as well, and to kind of have a better understanding and a better foundation of what AI is and their relationship to AI. So if you go through the documents, you'll see that students can describe their relationships. There's some questions there to help them frame and think about the project. They're going to submit all of this documentation and their statements because that is also going to be part of the judging process. We're not just looking at the video or their piece. We're going to be looking at the entire package, the entire process. We have someone just raise their hands.
There's a question in the chat.
Oh, okay. The student first submits a video of their performance, and if it gets selected, then they will perform it in person at MIT. Is that right? So yes. So they don't just submit a video. They're going to submit in the submission portal. There's going to be a space to submit like responses to some of these questions. So that's why these student resources and the slide deck and the teacher educator guides that are found on each one of these pages right over here. This is so important because it's going to be part of the submission process. So the students have to submit possibly a video, but also their artist statement, their documentation for the entire process. And that's how we're going to see like what it is that they learned and how that's maybe changed their relationship to AI and how they see AI being used or how AI will affect their lives. So again, they're going to be documenting their research, their learnings, what it is that they've learned about AI literacy, All of that is going to be documented and sent in as part of their submission. Any prompts that they used and that entire process. That's what we're looking for. We're looking to see that the students are using AI as a tool and they're really engaging with the process and not just having AI do it for them. They're really kind of going back and forth with the AI and using it responsibly. We do have some tips again in our slide deck, so students can we have some tips for students to like kind of think about like a direction that they could go in, but we don't want to limit any ideas for a performance or an art piece for both of these projects. As long as the end result is an original piece, we're happy, and as long as we see the documentation and submission, we're going to be very happy. And they have an opportunity to hopefully win an all expenses paid trip to Boston in the summer. The timeline for this is just a little bit different than me, myself, and AI. So the portal will open about a week later on February 10th, and the submissions are going to close on March 6th. So students have a little bit more time for this festival event to submit a project here. Winners will be notified by April 26th, so that does not change. And then again, the festival will take place July 17th through the 19th in the summer of 2026. Right. So again, I highly encourage you to visit the pages and open up the resources. That way you have them available and you can go through them and you can figure out when it is that you can actually do this with your students. I do want to encourage, because I've mentioned it a few times, I want to encourage you to look at the curriculum page so you can actually do some of these lessons before you get to the festival events with your students. So if you're going to like, let's say do this in middle school, you'll see the lessons that we have here and the resources that you should do before you get to the festival event. But once you've done those lessons, once your students are a little bit more AI literate and more responsible users and creators with AI, then they're ready to engage with one of these festival events. And we just focused on 2 today, AI Live and Me, Myself, and AI. There are a few others that you might want to take a look at in your own time, or we might offer PDs on in the future. So definitely take a look at that. And what I will do now, because we are almost at time, is I will leave the floor open. If you have any other questions, feel free to post them in the chat and we will happily answer or try to answer. Otherwise, send us an email if you have any other questions that maybe you don't think we can answer. And lastly, just know that all of the winners will be notified by April 24th. So by April 24th, you'll know if you and or your students have been selected to come to Boston, to Cambridge, to participate in one of these events. So for the next minute or so, we will leave the floor open if you have any questions or comments. And otherwise, we very much look forward to seeing your submissions for this project, for this festival, and we can't wait to hear from you. So if you have any questions, if you have any comments, feel free to reach out. We are more than happy to help you in any of this. So with that said, if you have any comments, let me know. Otherwise, I will see you all, and I hope to hear from you all very, very soon.